Hey guys, Riley here, and in today's video we will be covering variables and loops. So, variables are storage containers for values that you can put into them. So, I'm gonna give you guys a little look over on what variables are. So, a global variable is a variable that when changed affect every value in which it's used, and these can be used outside of wherever it's created. Local variables are variables that, when changed, only affect the area of processing in which it's defined. So, for example, if you define it in a command, you can only use it in that command, and after the command is done, it will get deleted. A list variable is a variable that can store more than one value. We probably won't be able to get through this all in one episode, but I'll cover that later on. So, we have our first variable here, test. Test is an integer which is defined as 0. So command set integer, or just command set integer, trigger. If arg1 isn't set, message set arg1 to an integer value. Else, if, okay, this is our first use of this is a type of local variable, but we're changing the first argument into a type. So argument 1 contains a negative. So if we did that, then we're going to message the player, this value cannot hold a negative number. Else, if it doesn't contain the negative number, it'll set the global variable test to 10. And then it'll message test to us. Now for testing, local variable testing, what we're going to do here is we're going to set test, or set our local variable. And the way you can define local variables is by putting an underscore in front of it. That means it's local. Our local variable to test, which this should specify the value as 10, but in this case we're actually going to set test to argument 1. Since argument 1 is already an integer, and test is already an integer, it'll give no error, and it'll set test to an integer. So this value should be equal to arg1. So then we message our local variable to the player. So now we're going to test this. Bring this over here. Select all. And now we open Minecraft, skreload tutorial. And now, set 5, it returns 5. Set 22, it returns 22. However, if we reload again, and we do set 0, it still sends 0. So, we go back to the code. Basically, that's what it is. So now I'll give you guys a brief explanation of what a list variable is. So a list variable can store multiple values, integers, strings, anything. But it's definitely better to have one type in each type of list variable. So for example, add our local variable to OLV, and this is how you define a list variable. By defining a list variable, you add your name of the variable dot other assets, like other definition names. Like you could just do OLV dot this is cool dot blah blah blah, but in order for it to define as a list variable, it has to end with colon, asterisk. So now it will add that to our variable olv. And now if we come down to command print olv trigger message olv. Now a problem with this is if olv is empty, meaning if set was never ran, then we want to do this. Size of olv is more than 1, or if else message was more than 0, which means if olv has more than 0 values in it. So these values could be 1, could be 5, could be a string called specification or OP. It could be anything, any letter, any value that exists. So if it's not above the size of 0, you must add a value to olv. So now, if we copy this, and if we reload, no errors. So if we do print olv, you must add a value to olv. So now if we do set 8, print olv, it'll print 8. See? Let's just see 8. So now if we do slash set 9, we do slash set 10, and we separate, and then print olv 8, 9, and 10. There are many ways to print these list variables, which you can look at other variables, but I may cover these different ways in a project in the future. So, and so on, vice versa, you can add different values to these, and if you want to clear a list variable, then you have to, well, clear it. So a way to clear a variable of any kind is to do clear olv. See? So if we do that, watch. Copy this. Then we go over here. Reload. Print olv. It'll print those, but if we try and print it again, since we cleared it, you must add a value to olv. So set this number, print olv, boom. Since we already printed it, you must add a value to olv. There's a print. So that's all for variables. Now we move on to loops. So as you can see right here, loops are when certain conditions, time spans, or parameters are met. A piece of code will run as many times as specified, or it will basically run as long as the conditions are met. So if we do every 5 seconds, this is a conditional loop, let's say. Every 5 seconds, broadcast, hi, I'm Riley. And then we just type go. If we do this, SK reload, and then every 5 seconds it will broadcast, hi, I'm Riley, go. See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So now I'm going to show you guys another form of loop. So basically, I'm going to make this another conditional loop. So let's say if arg1 isn't set, it'll loop 5 times, and it'll broadcast 5 times, hi, I'm Riley. Otherwise, if argument 1 isn't set, it won't do anything. However, if argument 1 is, if argument 1 isn't set, it'll broadcast argument 1 wasn't set, Riley. So now we copy sk reload tutorial. We do OL, no parameter specified. So it'll broadcast hi, I'm Riley with the arrows. But if we do EEE, argument 1 wasn't set, Riley. Ooh, I made a mistake. If argument 1 isn't set, if argument 1 is set. Oh, that was just a typing error. My bad. Anyway, that's pretty much that for loops. I'm going to cover something else quickly, which you can loop OLV. This is a way to print things in list variables. You can broadcast loop value. If you're ever looping something, you want to put loop in front of it, because loop value would return the value that it got from looping it. You could also do loop size of OLV broadcast loop value. Or if I'm wrong, it would be loop size, maybe. Or this doesn't exist at all, or I just got overzealous. So if we select all and paste that in, we can do sk reload tutorial. Yep, you can't loop it because it's only a single value. So if we do set that, and then set that again. Oh, okay. Well, okay. OL. See, now it loops that in a list fashion. So since we did that, it will broadcast the loop value in a list fashion. Sorry about this, I just thought that would work. Okay, so I'll go over loop types in the future, but that's pretty much it for variables and loops. I'll see you guys in the next episode.